Hey everyone, Louie V here from Vinyl Latte, and today I want to share with you opening up a box together. I always love when I get a box of records. It's always fun, especially when you don't really recall what's in it. This one took, I think, a little bit to come in, and I'm excited to open it and see what's inside. And I want to share that moment with you. So as I get this opened here and break the seal, why don't you all grab a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and get ready to unbox some records with me. All right. Oh, bear with me here as I cut open the seal. All right, folks, we just got the box open. So let's dive in here and see what we got. And the first record is what we got. We got Mr. Sam Cooke, Night Beat. Let's check this out a little bit here. We have the little hype stickers. This is from original master tapes here. I think I have some information I can share with you on that in a moment. Heavyweight vinyl, limited edition. These are the ones that are pressed on 1,000 per stamper. But they're not actually limited. If you look at some of these pressings, there's nothing on the back that actually says they're limited. So I guess they're limited until Chad says they are. Or maybe there's some details on the website that shares. But a little bit of information about this particular album. It was mastered by George Marino at Sterling Sound, I believe it was. And as it indicates here, from the original 3-track master tapes, I believe this was. And originally released in 1963. What's really cool about this particular album is that it was a departure from Sam's, typical polished songs. So you got some new things going on here. And what this album really allowed to happen is it allowed his incredible vocal range and his raw talent to really come out. And then also you got a touch of like haunting lyrics here, especially with Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen. That's one that's worth going to go stream if you're not familiar with it. Just go listen to it. This, I believe, is 245s pressed at Quality Records, Quality Record Pressings, QRP. It's Analog Productions. You know this is going to sound amazing. I can't wait to get this on the table and really give this a spin. I've heard some fantastic things about this particular pressing. Okay, what do we got next? Oh, I can tell by the back already. You see, that gives you a little bit of a hint. This is the Beach Boys here. This is Surfer Girl. I heard amazing things about this one too. I think this one was mastered by Kevin Gray at Coherent. And I forget who did the plating on this one. I think it was Gary. I'm not sure, but this is another one that it did 1,000 records per stamper. So really, really cool. This was also from 1963. Look at that, back-to-back 63s. And what's really notable about this album in particular is that this is where Brian Wilson received sole production credit. So imagine that, right? Because at this time, Mark was only, what, 21 years old. I'm sorry, Mark. Brian was only 21 years old at the time. And what's really cool is that I think after this album, he kind of got that creative control over the Beach Boys for the rest of their career. So imagine being Brian at 21 with so much responsibility and so much weight on the shoulders. I cannot imagine what a day in a life is for him. This is on, if I recall correctly, this is on 245s, 200 gram, of course, QRP press. AP wouldn't have it any other way. Super excited to get this one on the list as well. Cool. All right. I know I keep telling him excited to these records. We're only 3 in, but this one I'm super excited for. It's Belafonte, Sings the Blues. This is mastered, remastered, I should say, was done by Ryan Smith at Sterling Sound. That's probably a better way to say it. And this one's actually notable for being recorded in studio for the first time. Yeah, in stereo, and also the first time devoted entirely to blues. So this was really marketing, kind of putting a departure point into Belafonte's style. I mean, he was a calypso. That's what he was known for. In fact, he had an album that was released previous to this one. I think it was actually just called Calypso. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't remember. But I do remember that it sold over 1 million copies. And think about that for a second. You know, your Belafonte, you just had a hit record, just came out, tore up the States, and now you're due to do a follow-up record. And what you do is you change your sound completely to what people are expecting. I mean, I can't imagine a risk that was being undertaken at that time and what Belafonte was thinking about through making those really important decisions. That record is not a 45, that is a 33 record, but it is 200 gram. And of course, QRP. And I heard that the sound there is phenomenal. It's one of, I believe Chad even mentioned on one of his videos that he recommends that as one of the top albums for male vocals that he actually shows customers when they come in. So if it's really that powerful, I'm super excited to give it a spin later. Maybe I'll leave some comments and let you know what my first impressions were once I finally get on the table. Okay, this one, I can see what it is already, is War's Greatest Hits. Oh man, am I excited for this one. This is another Ryan Smith mastering. This is done on 245s here, 180 gram vinyl, I believe this one is, and it is at QRP, of course. But what I'm so excited for is that, okay, let's just talk about the album first. Then I'll tell you why I'm excited. The album is obviously the greatest hits of the war. And in my opinion, if you do not have a War album in your catalog today, if you're collecting vinyl, if you're new to collecting vinyl, and that's how you found this video, do yourself a favor and your collection a favor. Go get yourself some War albums. The World is a Ghetto, fantastic album. All Day Music, another fantastic album. They're the two I would recommend starting out with, but we could go on and on and on. Or maybe this even should be an and or. Get the Greatest Hits album. Now, they did come out with the Greatest Hits Part 2, but I think this one is the one to have. It has the music you want. It does have the All Day Music title track. It's going to have the World as a Ghetto title track. It has a Cisco Kid, huge song from them. Gypsy Man's okay, yeah. We got another one here, Why Can't We Be Friends? I think everybody's at least heard that on the radio once in their life. You have Lowrider, super famous song, right? I mean, I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. I remember when the first time I saw the movie Gone in 60 Seconds and they put that track on to kind of warm up before they went out and did their thing. And I don't want to ruin the movie in case you haven't seen it. But they used that as like a pump up song for the group. Oh, I had like goose, pimples or bumps or whatever you want to call it on my skin when that came out. It just, every time this song comes up, it just does something to me emotionally. And I think that's what good music is supposed to do. Good music is supposed to make you feel something, not just hear something, but make you feel something. And for some reason, Lowrider just does that for me every time it comes on. Now, why am I excited about this album? Well, it's been blowing up the internet. Folks have been saying in many cases that that's the best sounding record in their entire collection. Not only is it the definitive pressing of the greatest hits, but it is sonically just a marvel. And I'm really, 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 really hoping that the hype lives up to it, even if it doesn't live up to it 100%. Even if it only lived up to 80, 90% of the hype, it's going to be melty good. It's going to be one of those records that I just think I'm going to love because I'm a really big War fan, and having that Greatest Hits album pressed at such so much time and care and thought and sound coming out of it. I'm just super, super excited about putting that one on. I don't know if you have that record yet or not, but if you just do yourself a favor, do some Googling on that. There's been plenty of YouTubers that reviewed that album because it just sounds so good. It makes everybody's system sound amazing. It doesn't matter if you have a reference system. It doesn't matter if you have, an entry-level system. It's going to sound amazing. And that's what's cool about that one particularly. So super excited for that. Okay, folks, this is the last of the box. Will we say this is leaving the best for last? And sorry for throwing it on the floor. I didn't know it was going to make that much noise. Maybe we save the best for last here. I don't know. You be the judge. This is Patricia Barber's Nightclub. Now, there is some cool things about this. This was originally released in 2000. And when it came out, it really showcased the world, or showed the world, like Barbara's talents, as a jazz vocalist, but also a pianist. And what she's really good at doing is taking a modern spin on some like classical jazz standards. And she does it super, super, super well in this album. Now, what is interesting about this album, particularly, is that it focuses primarily on cover songs, and that's not her normal style. She's not usually a cover artist, so to do cover songs and then put it together on a record for her wasn't the norm. So that's kind of cool here, right? Something different. The other thing different about this particular album is this whole one step album. And by the way, you can see I'm touching this because it actually has like this texture to it. All these Impex one steps just have this beautiful texture at them. So these records are 45 RPM. They're on super vinyl, which is considered one of the best grade vinyls you can get. They're limited edition. Now this is limited. This isn't Chad limited. This is real limited. This is 7,500 copies, and this is number 2065 out of that 7,500 here. And I don't mean to knock Chad. I know those copies are limited, and once they're done, they're done. I get that. I just would love to know how many. Sometimes, it's like, I think technically every record pressing is limited. Even if you make 1,000,000 copies of something, it's still limited because you're eventually going to stop. They don't make the same record forever. That's why you have so many reissues and represses and remasters, etc. This stuff goes out of print eventually. So technically every record's limited. So sometimes I just wonder if it's really a marketing ploy or not. I don't know. But I love AP stuff, and I've never been, well, maybe one burn. I think I could think of one, maybe even two burns. But I mean, out of all the AP records I've had, they've all been fantastic. If you're not familiar with the one step, this ensures that each run is more consistent disc to disc. It has less surface noise, it's clearer details, tends to have deeper bass. And the reason why is because of that one step process that they do. They go through this thing where they only use the lacquer, I think, 500 times. They only use it for 500 pressings, and then they throw it away. And then what ends up happening is that they end up skipping this whole, father-mother process, right? So all that means this. You're using the lacquer, which is what presses makes the grooves in the vinyl less. And on top of that, you're skipping some processes. So this increases the production costs. And that's why these records tend to go for more, but that's also why they tend to sound better, because they're not being used over and over and over and basically get worn out or, whatever. So really, really, really cool. This is supposed to sound phenomenal. I'm looking forward to it. I did get the Getz Gilberto one step as well, which I haven't featured yet on this channel, but I do plan to. And it sounds gorgeous. So if that even sounds remotely the same, I know it's going to blow me away. That's it. That's the end of the box, folks. I really appreciate you opening that with me. I think it's kind of cool to be able to share with you what I would get when I open a box here at my house. The next thing for me is to kind of get these prepped, right? So I'll get them opened up. It'll be an opportunity to check out the artwork, check out what actually goodies come inside, get them re-sleeved if they need to be re-sleeved, and get them in the ultrasonic cleaner, and then onto the turntable. So I hope you really enjoyed that, especially if you're waiting for a box of your own. And if you are, why don't you share with me in the comments what you got in this week, or what you're waiting on, what you're excited for. I'd really love to know what interests you. And until next time, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed your cup of coffee while we went through this adventure together. I'll see you on the next video.